My girlfriend said, my ex dressed better, made more money, and treated me right. Then I asked, how did you broke up? She told me. So I dumped her the same way. Now she's losing her mind. I am 32. I work in finance operations. Stable job. Decent income. Not flashy. I dress clean. Take care of myself. Pay my bills. I am not trying to be impressive. I am trying to be consistent. My girlfriend, now ex, is 29. We were together just over a year. From the beginning, she had a sharp tongue. I do not mean playful teasing. I mean comments that always landed slightly below the belt and were disguised as honesty. She liked to compare. Restaurants, vacations, careers, people, especially people. Her favorite comparison was her ex. At first it was subtle. She would mention how he had better style, how he understood high-end places, how he had ambition. She always added a qualifier. Things like, but that does not matter anymore, or you are different in a good way. I let it slide. I assumed she was processing an old relationship out loud. Over time, the comparisons stopped being neutral. They became evaluative. He dressed better. He made more money. He knew how to treat a woman properly. She said these things casually, like listing features on a product sheet. One night last week we were sitting on my couch after dinner. She had wine. She was in that mood where she felt bold and superior. She started again. This time she went all in. She said her ex dressed better than me, made more money than me, and treated her right. She said it with a half smile like she expected me to either argue or feel insecure. I did not do either. I asked one question. Calm. No sarcasm. No edge. I asked how they broke up. She rolled her eyes at first. Then she told me. Very casually. Like it was nothing. And that answer changed everything. That is where this actually begins. When I asked how they broke up, she laughed. Not nervous laughter. Amused laughter. Like she thought the story reflected well on her. She said he blindsided her. One day, everything was fine, and the next day, he just ended it. No yelling. No fighting. No drama. She said he told her she clearly thought she could do better, so he decided not to stand in her way. I remember the exact wording she used because it stuck with me. She said he told her good luck and walked away. She rolled her eyes after saying it and added that he was insecure and could not handle her standards. She said men like that always leave when they realize they are replaceable. I did not interrupt her. I did not defend him. I did not defend myself either. I just listened. Then she added something that sealed it. She said the worst part was that he never chased her. Never checked back in. Never tried to prove her wrong. He just disappeared and lived his life like she never mattered. She said it like it was an injustice. I asked her if she ever apologized to him. She said for what? That was the moment my stomach settled into this calm, heavy certainty. Not anger. Not heartbreak. Clarity. She was not reminiscing. She was warning me. Testing me. Seeing how much disrespect I would swallow to keep her. She waited for my reaction. I could feel it. She wanted reassurance. She wanted me to say I was different. That I would try harder. That I would never leave like that. Instead, I nodded. I said that actually made sense. Her expression changed. Just slightly. Confusion first. Then irritation. She asked what made sense. I told her that if she talked to him the way she was talking to me right now, I understood exactly why he left. The room went quiet. She said, wow. Okay, so you are taking his side now. I said no. I am just listening to you. She scoffed and said you are being dramatic. I stood up, grabbed my phone, and told her I needed some air. She laughed again and said, see, this is what I mean. You cannot handle honesty. I turned around and said no. I just learned how this ends. And I walked out. I did not know yet that I was about to end it the exact same way. But the decision was already made. I drove around for about 20 minutes before going back to my place. I did not need distance from her apartment. I needed distance from the version of myself that would normally try to smooth things over. My phone buzzed twice while I was out. I did not check it. I already knew what it would be. Either bait or dismissal. With her, those were the only two modes. When I got home, I sat down and replayed the conversation without emotion. That is something I do when I need to be honest with myself. Strip out tone. Strip out intent. Just facts. Fact 1. She compared me to her ex again, unprompted. Fact 2. She framed him as superior in money, appearance, and behavior. Fact 3. She described losing him as something unfair that happened to her, not a consequence of how she treated him. Fact 4. She showed no curiosity about her role in that breakup. That pattern was not accidental. Around midnight, she texted, told me I overreacted, said I was twisting her words, said I should be grateful she was honest instead of pretending. I replied once. Just once. I said I am not upset. I am paying attention. That annoyed her more than anger ever would. She called immediately. I let it ring. Then she sent a longer message saying she was just expressing her standards and that if I wanted to be with a woman like her, I needed to step up. That her ex understood that until he got insecure. That is when the irony became impossible to ignore. She did not miss him. She missed the power dynamic. She missed being admired without accountability. She missed having someone absorb comparison without consequence. And now she was reenacting the same script with me. The difference was I had just watched the ending. I went to bed without replying again. The next morning, I woke up calm. No knots in my stomach. No urge to defend myself. Just a simple decision waiting to be executed. I knew exactly how this relationship was going to end. She already told me, and I had decided to believe her. I did not end it that morning. Not yet. I wanted to see if she would recognize what she had done without me spelling it out. That mattered to me more than revenge or proving a point. She did not. By noon she was texting like nothing happened. Memes. A comment about lunch. A reminder about plans we had later in the week. It was like the conversation from the night before had been filed away as me being sensitive and therefore irrelevant. That told me everything I needed to know. That evening she came over to my place. No apology. No check-in. She acted normal in that performative way people do when they assume they still have leverage. She kicked off her shoes, opened my fridge, and commented that I should really update my wardrobe if I wanted to move up at work. I asked her to sit down. She sighed like I was inconveniencing her and said, "Okay, what is this about?" I told her I had been thinking about what she said about her ex. About how he dressed better, made more money, and treated her right. I told her I believed her. She smiled at that. A small satisfied smile. Like she thought this was the part where I asked how to improve. Then I said, "And I also believe him." Her smile dropped. I told her that based on her own story, he did exactly what someone should do when they realize they are being compared and resented instead of respected. He left cleanly. He did not argue. He did not compete. He did not try to win her back. I said I understood why that drove her crazy. She snapped back immediately. Said I was projecting. Said I was insecure. Said I was nowhere near his level anyway, so I should not flatter myself by copying him. I nodded again. Same as before. Then I told her this was not a discussion. I told her I was ending the relationship. That I was not angry. That I was not trying to punish her. That I was simply opting out of a dynamic where I was constantly being measured against someone else. She laughed. Actually laughed. She said, "You are not serious." I stood up and said, "I am." I said good luck and I walked her to the door. That is when the panic started. And that is when things got messy. The panic did not look like tears at first. It looked like disbelief. She stood in my doorway staring at me like I had just spoken a foreign language. Then she started bargaining. She said I was being impulsive, that I was throwing something good away over one conversation, that couples are supposed to challenge each other, that I was proving her point about being insecure. I did not argue. I did not defend myself. I repeated one sentence calmly. I said I am not competing with a ghost. That is when the tone shifted. She accused me of copying her ex to hurt her. Said it was manipulative. Said I was trying to punish her by leaving the same way. She told me it was pathetic to model myself after a man who could not keep her. I told her I was not modeling myself after him. I was responding to her. She stepped closer and said, "You will regret this. You think you are making some strong move, but you are just proving you are replaceable." I said, "Okay." That word hit her harder than anything else. She expected a reaction. She expected me to flinch. When I did not, she switched tactics. She started crying. Real tears this time. She said she was just being honest with me. That she wanted me to grow. That she chose me. That she could have stayed with him, but did not. I asked her why. She froze. She said because he left. I opened the door. I told her I was not mad at her. That I appreciated her honesty. And that I was ending this the same way it ended before because the pattern was the same. No yelling. No insults. No long speech. I said good luck. She stood there shaking, waiting for me to soften. I did not. She left. And within an hour, my phone started blowing up. The first wave was anger. Missed calls. Long texts sent back to back. Accusations that I planned this. That I waited for the right moment to humiliate her. That I was weak for copying her ex instead of facing her like a man. I did not respond. Then came the second wave. Confusion. She asked if I was serious. If this was really it. If I needed space, or if we were actually done. She said she was just passionate and that I knew how she was. That I should not take things so literally. Still nothing from me. By midnight the tone shifted again. Apologies. Not clean ones. Conditional ones. I am sorry if you felt compared. I am sorry if my honesty hurt you. I did not mean it that way. I read them once and put my phone down. The next morning I blocked her. No announcement. No warning. Just removed access. Phone. Messaging apps. Socials. Everything. I was not doing it to be cruel. I was doing it because I had already seen how this played out when someone kept the door cracked open. She did not handle the silence well. By that afternoon, mutual contacts started reaching out, asking what happened, saying I dumped her out of nowhere, saying she was spiraling and did not understand how I could just disappear. One message from a mutual friend stood out. He said she keeps saying she cannot believe you did not fight for her. That made me laugh for the first time since all of this started. Fight for what? A role where I was constantly being measured against someone else. A relationship where respect was conditional on outperforming a memory. She did not miss me. She missed the validation. She missed having someone to push against. And now there was no surface left. That was when the real unraveling began. The unraveling was quieter than I expected. No public meltdown. No dramatic confrontation. Just a slow leak of control that she could not stop. She started reaching out through other people. Friends I barely knew. One coworker she had met once. Even my cousin, who she followed on social media but never spoke to. Different versions of the same message. She just wants closure. She does not understand what happened. She wants to talk like adults. I declined all of it. Not rudely. Not defensively. Just no. What surprised me was how quickly the narrative around her started to crack once I was no longer participating. Without me reacting, she had nothing to bounce off of. And without a villain actively engaging, her story lost momentum. A mutual friend told me she kept repeating the same line. He left me the same way my ex did. Like that was the injustice. Not why it happened. Just that it happened again. Someone finally asked her if maybe there was a common denominator. She did not like that. Apparently, she started spiraling over the comparison she created herself. Fixated on the idea that two men had independently decided the same thing. Not out of coordination. Not out of insecurity. Out of clarity. That realization did more damage than any argument ever could. Meanwhile, my life got simpler. No tension before speaking. No internal math about whether a comment would be used against me later. No feeling like I had to outperform a memory to earn baseline respect. One night I sat on my couch and thought about the moment she said my ex dressed better, made more money, and treated me right. At the time it felt like a dig. Now it felt like a confession. She did not want a partner. She wanted a benchmark she could stand on. And the moment I refused to play that role, the whole structure collapsed. The first thing that happened was she tried to rewrite history. A mutual friend told me she was saying the breakup came out of nowhere, that I had been acting distant for weeks, that I never communicated my issues, that she was shocked I would throw everything away without trying to work on it. None of that was true, but I did not correct it. Because something interesting happens when you stay silent. People start comparing notes. More than one person remembered how often she talked about her ex, how she compared men like resumes, how she framed relationships as upgrades and downgrades instead of partnerships. Without me there to absorb the friction, that pattern became visible. Someone asked her a question she could not dodge. Why do men keep leaving you the same way? That question apparently sent her into a spiral. She started obsessing over the similarity. Two different men, different careers, different personalities. Same ending. No yelling, no begging, no chasing. Just a clean exit after being compared and diminished. She did not interpret that as feedback. She interpreted it as betrayal by the universe. I heard she went through phases. Anger, then nostalgia, then panic. She talked about reaching out to her ex to see if he was still single. Someone talked her out of it. Apparently, he was married now. That hit harder than anything else. Meanwhile, my own clarity kept settling in. I realized I had not lost anything of value. I had gained time, quiet, and self-respect. The absence of constant evaluation felt like relief in my chest. One night, I caught myself smiling for no reason, and that is when it clicked. I had been tense for a long time without realizing it. The comparison was gone. The performance was gone. The test was over, and I had passed it by walking away. The last update reached me without me asking for it, the way most real updates do. A friend I trust told me she finally broke down and admitted something out loud. She said she could not understand why men kept leaving when she was just being honest. That phrasing mattered. Just being honest was how she justified comparison. Just being honest was how she excused disrespect. Just being honest was how she avoided responsibility for how her words landed. The friend told her something she did not want to hear. That honesty without care is not honesty. It is entitlement. And comparing your partner to someone else is not motivation. It is erosion. Apparently, she went quiet after that. No comeback. No clever line. No reframing. Silence. That was new for her. I heard she tried dating again almost immediately. First date stories. App screenshots. The usual distraction cycle. But something was different. She kept bringing up her exes. Both of them. Framing them as men who could not handle her standards. People stopped engaging with that narrative. Once a pattern becomes visible, it is hard to unsee. Meanwhile, I realized something subtle had shifted in me. I was not guarded. I was not bitter. I was just more selective. I listened more closely to how people talked about others, especially how they talked about past partners. Because how someone speaks about the people who left them tells you exactly how they will speak about you when they decide you are no longer useful. She taught me that lesson without meaning to, and for that, I am oddly grateful. I am writing this last part because I know how these posts usually end, either with regret or with some dramatic twist. This one ends quieter than that. A few weeks after everything settled, I caught myself thinking about her ex again. Not with jealousy, not with comparison, with understanding. I finally understood why he left the way he did, why he did not argue, why he did not try to prove her wrong, why he walked away clean and never looked back. He listened. She told him who she was in the same way she told me, through comparison, through entitlement, through a belief that honesty excused cruelty and that standards justified disrespect. He believed her. So did I. The difference is that this time, she had to watch it happen twice. I did not dump her to teach her a lesson. I did not do it to mirror her ex out of spite. I did it because once you see a pattern clearly, staying becomes a form of self-betrayal. She is still losing her mind from what I hear. Not because she lost me specifically, but because she lost the narrative. Two men leaving the same way breaks the story she tells herself about being unlucky in love. It forces a different question, and she is not ready to ask it. As for me, nothing dramatic changed. No sudden glow-up. No new relationship yet. Just peace. Just the absence of being measured against ghosts and hypotheticals. If someone tells you their ex was better than you in every way, listen carefully. Not to compete. Not to defend yourself. Listen for the ending. Because sometimes they are not reminiscing. They are showing you exactly how this will end if you let it. I did not. And that was enough.